Morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tonight, I'd like to go back to an issue that I have raised on this platform, which Professor Lumumba has raised in this video clip. I think it is such an important issue that we must go back to it again and again as a reference point and try to master what we are talking about here. I believe Zimbabwe is a failed state because we have had the misfortune of having citizens who have had the vote and yet have failed to exercise that power rationally. And in their folly, they have elected buffoons who only cared about power and thus have dragged the nation deeper and deeper into this economic and political abyss we find ourselves. Let's just listen to Dr. Lumumba talking about the issue here.
Idiots who don't want to participate in the affairs of their nation, they think things will just work in and of themselves. Then they are tribalists. And these tribalists, they think that they are only safe with people who are from their tribe. And tribe can mean people from the same culture, same language, or same culture. Then they are citizens. These are individuals who are responsible and know that when you want to be served, you must give those who have the desire and the intellectual capacity to serve you. In many societies, it is only a small percentage of people that can be called citizens, not more than 5%. And if a society wants to grow in the right direction, civic education is what will help the idiot and the tribalist to become a citizen.
Couldn't agree with him more. I'll come from a slightly different angle. I would say that the idiot is the individual whose intellectual appreciation or understanding is so shallow that he really has no comprehension of the issues affecting life. It's typically focused on me, myself, and I, here and now. Doesn't care about anything else beyond that. You try to explain to him that he needs to look at the broader picture. You're wasting your time. The tribesman has got a little bit more understanding. He is what one would call, what the English poet Alexander Pope would call an individual who has had a little learning, and it's a dangerous thing. The tribesman believes he knows all that he needs to know and does not want to consider anything else. The tribesman believes and has got his blind allegiance to the tribe, the tribe's leaders. Tribe's leaders become his demigod. To him, they can do no wrong. And if he should ever ascend into a position of power and authority, he is likely to demand the same blind allegiance from everybody else. The tribesman has no time for facts, reality, truth, reason. He thinks he knows it all. All those things are now irrelevant. And so the tribesman is likely to blunder from pillar to post. The citizen, on the other hand, is what Alexander Pope would say is drunk deep from the spring of knowledge and has understood the importance of knowledge, truth, reality, etc. And when you have drunk deep, you appreciate that you don't know it all. And therefore, then you've got an open mind and will willingly accept information coming from other people. And that is important because that opens you up to learning. And those who are willing to learn would know that no one has got the monopoly of knowledge. Not one individual, not the tribe, but are willing to accept and evaluate what contribution anybody else makes purely on merit. The other important thing that citizens appreciate is they have appreciated the sheer futility of the Charles Darwin mentality of eat or be eaten, dominate or be dominated, survival of the fittest. For human beings, yes, it's okay for animals, but for human beings, we are a creature of reason. You can see the sheer futility of forever trying to dominate somebody. Because it doesn't matter, even if you succeed in dominating the individual or a group of individuals, you know that you always have to be on your guard because they would not want to be dominated. Therefore, then they will seek to free themselves and even dominate you. And you spend all your life fighting to dominate or resisting to being dominated. The sheer futility of it. The citizen appreciates the simple reality of do unto others as you want to do them to do unto you. And the underlying concept of rule of law. Invariably, societies that have accepted, embraced the citizen mentality have enjoyed peace and prosperity. And those that have failed to do so, that are still stuck in the tribal, much worse the idiot mentality, have blundered from pillar to post. As I said, I think Zimbabwe is a failed state because we have failed to rise above the tribal mentality. That is the reason why we are a failed state. Welcome to you, Benjamin. Good evening to you.
Good evening to you and good evening to everybody. Thank you for having me on the program. I must say, the idiot, you know, in his numbers or in their numbers overwhelm the citizens. I mean, 5% against probably we could safely say 95% is quite a huge figure, whatever it may be. And politicians know this for a fact that the idiot, it doesn't need much convincing. you know he doesn't ask for much in terms of validation, in terms of facts, in terms of history. He's practically, we could say, is an idiot, is incapable of seeing beyond his nose or thinking for themselves. You know and and the politician knows this and has since taken advantage of this. And in the case of Zimbabwe, I mean, it is evident, you know, one doesn't have to stand and say much. One could simply, uh, bring a box of one piece chicken and chips, and that's a deal done. You know, one can stand up and promise bullet trains when we don't even have the slow moving train. And people will ululate to that and clap hands to that. That's the idiot. They cannot see beyond themselves, beyond the near future, beyond logic. And there are many of those. And we can see them in the campaign trails. You can see them as they speak during the campaign trails. What would you have learned? You will see from there how they present themselves. And it's quite unfortunate. There are many of those in Zimbabwe's case.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think in this particular case, as Professor Lumumba tried to underline there, human beings have the ability to learn. As much as people have made mistakes, people should learn from their mistakes. The biggest fault here is to fail to learn from one's mistake. The great physicist Albert Einstein said it beautifully when he said that insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. In Zimbabwe, we have had rigged elections for the last 44 years. In other words, for the last 44 years, we've participated in flawed elections, which we knew are flawed or have been warned repeatedly that they are flawed, which we also knew and were warned that by participating will give ZANU-PF legitimacy. But we have again and again fallen into the trap of believing individuals like Nelson Chamisa promising that Triple C would win big because he has plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. We have abandoned the rational position of let's have free, fair, and credible elections and demand that we have reforms so that we participate in free, fair, and credible elections, and opted for participating in flawed elections on the belief that Chamisa has done some magic and we can win rigged elections. I think that is idiotic. And I think it is important that Zimbabweans should sit back and realize that that was a big mistake. Learn from it. The worst thing that we can do in 2028 is have the same 2 million Zimbabweans participate in a flawed 2028 election when they've been warned repeatedly that those elections, ZANU-PF will rig them, and that participating will give the process legitimacy. And after the election, they will then complain that the elections were rigged. No, the world does not want to hear that because you've been warned that without reforms, ZANU-PF will rig the elections. And if you participate, you give ZANU-PF legitimacy. So my message to the people of Zimbabwe today is we, the people, can do our bit and stop repeating the same mistake over and over again. 44 years of rigged elections, including the last 24, in which we have participated on the basis that the opposition has implemented reforms to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. We should learn from the past and stop this insanity.
For the sake of Zimbabwe, we need to convert some of the idiots and the tribesmen to become citizens. This is it's not going to be a walk in the park, because we are looking at people that are not willing to think for themselves, people that are not willing to research for themselves, people that are ignoring facts that they are seeing every single time when they go through elections, when they go through uh, be it the reruns, the recalls and everything. They know all these things. They are living in a society where these things are happening, but they choose to ignore. So teaching them is not going to be a walk in the park, but it should be done. It should be done. So I emphasize, for those that have a clear understanding of what is happening in Zimbabwe and what Zimbabwe honestly and truly needs, it is to tell the next person, and so forth and so forth and so forth. It it has to start from somewhere, because if we then say we have failed, then we are saying Zimbabwe would be stuck in this yes spot, because I'm pretty sure as long as there is a majority of all these idiots and tribesmen, we will always pick up the wrong politician or the wrong leader to lead us forward. Why? Because we are choosing from the wrong pool. We are looking at things in the wrong aspect. So what we need is to teach each other. Those that are more knowledgeable should be able to input their knowledge into others, and help others to become citizens at the end of the day. So I'm just hoping that for Zimbabwe's sake and the sake of generations to come, we put our act together, and we become open-minded and be willing to look at things, in the perception that they are. Let's not be told. Let's not, be brainwashed by leaders. Think for yourselves. That's a message that I would leave to each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. And to those of you who were able to join us tonight, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you'll be able to join us again tomorrow. Have a good day.